Hey, Cody's Caravan. We're in Auburn this morning. We're talking about the Tevis Cup, and I needed somebody to explain the history of this. If somebody had say that's done this many times, how many times have you done this?
This weekend will be the 41st, but I have finished 32 times.
That's amazing.
Well, I don't know. It is amazing. It's an amazing trail, an amazing event. I started as a youngster, and it's I guess you could say it's a sport for the ages.
Okay.
What do you think about it?
So let me ask you this. I've been teasing this. This whole thing started 54 with a bet.
That's
so
right.
Please share that story with us.
Well, there was a civic-minded guy, a businessman here in town, who loved riding horses and had a history with them. And so he invited the Sacramento County Sheriff's Posse up for a fall ride along the Middle Fork of the American River. And as the day wore on, they stopped, had lunch on the banks of the American River. They were talking about the Old West, the Pony Express, the U.S. Cavalry, and wondered if horses today, then, in the spring or the fall of '54, whether horses then were as tough and as rugged as they were, as they are now. And so ensued a bet, a wager, because Wendell Robie, who is the fellow I'm mentioning, was convinced that horses could travel 100 miles, at least 100 miles in one day. He'd studied, he was a student of the game. He studied history. He knew of the Pony Express. He knew of the U.S. Cavalry endeavors and the endurance events that they had, and was pretty convinced they could do it. He says, oh, you know, there's this trail from Tahoe to Auburn. And that even, upped the wager a bit, because that's a pretty rugged course when you think about it. So by August 7th of 1955, 5 riders left Tahoe City at 5 a.m. and made it to Auburn by 4:10 the next morning, having carried the mail. They were postal carriers.
That's right. You had to carry the mail. Now, why did they have to carry the mail?
Well, to prove that through the cancellation of the envelopes that they carried and the postmarks, that demonstrated the legitimacy of Robie's idea that they could travel in 100 miles in one day or less.
That is wild. That is wild. And now it's become this international event. Like, people come from around the world to ride in this.
It is. It's the founding event of its kind. And Olympic-style events are now underway. I don't know that it'll ever become an Olympic event, but it's in front of the Olympic Committee. They've looked, and they do hold international competitions based on the standards that have been established with the Tevis Cup Ride.
Now, Little Hal, when he first started that, and Hal today, would Little Hal know that you'd be riding again this weekend?
No.
The first time? I didn't think so.
No, after my first finish, I sought psychiatric help. It was no good. It didn't work.
All right, we're going to tell you some of the logistics behind this. They have to have veterinarians along the trail. I mean, it's really planned out. It's a really amazing thing. So that's all coming up. Back to you guys.
Very cool.
Started with a bet.
Started with a bet. All right.
What was it, $500?
$500.
$500 bet.
That was a lot of money back then.
$500.
Man.
Yeah.
Get ready to saddle up for a 100-mile journey on horseback.
Cody and his caravan are live in Auburn saying, giddy up this morning. Cody, with your back, I'm not sure you should spend 100 miles on a horse.
Well, yeah, so I've already talked to him about this. I said I couldn't ride, but I think I want to volunteer to be part of a crew next year, because I think that would be hilarious. Okay, so we told you that this started with a bet. Okay, it started with a bet. How? Well, I hate to interrupt you guys. By the way, the stories here are fantastic. But so, okay, so the first ride, you were just telling me about there was a fella. You finish that story for me.
Oh, sure. Wendell Robie, the founder of the event, was heading up to the start at Tahoe City, going up Interstate 80. And he had been trying to recruit Bud Jones, owner of cattle in then called Squaw Valley, now Olympic Valley. Bud was non-committal. But Wendell turns in to the valley, asks Bud, gets out, asks Bud, you going to go with me tomorrow? He says, no, I can't do it. But there's this kid over here, he's a wrangler, he might go. And he was just, what, 16 or 17 years of age. Robie asked him, said, sure, what time do I start? And where do we begin? We're going to go up here to Tahoe City at 5 a.m. We're going to leave, and we're going to Auburn. I'm not sure he knew where Auburn was, but he was one of, out of the 5 starters, that young man finished the Tevis Ride in the very first go.
Did he get a day off?
Yeah, he got the day off.
He got the day off.
Yeah, he had to be back by Sunday to be able to,
to work again.
Work again.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so we have so much history on this ride. Why do you think that this thing has continued on? Because there's been a lot of things that have disappeared over the years.
Well, you think about it. It's a great outdoor, wholesome family outing, recreation.
Yeah.
And if you are a lover of horses, what a better way to see the Sierra Nevada than to get over the mountain that way.
Yeah.
Now, but I will tell you, though the mountains that surround the trail are beautiful, and they're relentless in their challenge and unforgiving to the ill-prepared.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I bet. You can't just show up and do this. You can't like, you're watching this right now and go, well, I got a horse. I want to get on the horse. You can't just show up. You got to prepare, right?
That's right. And now there's qualifications. So you really do have to do your homework and experience the outdoors with your horse, as maybe you do, but and some people, like my business partners, when I first got to go into business with them, thought it was a little bit extreme. But really,
I think it's a little more than a little bit extreme, quite honestly. That is wild. You're going with a mule this year,
right?
And you're going with what kind of horse again?
Mustang. Actually, we're both riding
we're
Mustangs.
both riding Mustangs.
Oh, you're both riding Mustangs
Yep.
this year.
I'm riding Mark's Mustang.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And you guys kind of do it as a tandem, right?
Well, we're going to start out together, and it'd be nice to finish together. And but it's pretty hard to plan on that for sure, because as most horsemen will tell you, you have to ride your own ride and take care of your animal first. And it would be really fun for Mark and I to finish together.
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
So good meeting you guys. Seriously, I am having a blast out here. I'm totally volunteering. I'm doing it next year. I'm not riding. I'm volunteering. Yeah, I'll volunteer. Tevis Ride starts 5 a.m. on Saturday morning, and they'll be making their way from the mountains all the way back here to Auburn. Back to you guys.
Hoo-wee. 100 miles.
Once again, volunteer to help out, not ride. I want everybody to be clear on this. Everybody's clear.
Everybody's clear.
Just thinking about
I
that.
know it.
Thank you, Cody.
I'm sorry. And welcome back, Cody's Caravan. We're live here in Auburn. We're talking about the Tevis Cup. Now, Greg, I've been hinting about this. The logistics behind it. There's a whole army of people that have to come together to make this thing happen.
There's around 700 volunteers that come out every year to go to the various vet checks and volunteer and help out and move water around and haul water and 82 100-gallon troughs, and we do about 60 bales of hay scattered all over with hay and grain, and so the horses are happy all day.
Yeah. So because I really want to get into like the vet checks and everything, because you're really taking care of these horses as they're going through.
Yeah, we have vets from all over the U.S., one from New Zealand this year. They're invited to come in. Exceptional vets that really, their well-being of the horse is their number one goal.
Yeah.
So they really keep a strict eye on them. We have about 10 vet checks down the course that take a look at them.
And so when you talk to somebody that's done this ride, so they'll say, how many have you finished and how many did you attempt, right?
Correct.
Because of these situations.
I have 4 buckles and 8 tries.
Okay.
So I'm right on the 50% is the normal completion rate.
Fantastic. Would you like to meet somebody that's done 10 of these? This is Ann. Hi, Ann. How are you?
I'm well.
So you've attempted 14 and you've done 10.
Done finished 10, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah. Give us a little hint of what it's like to be on that trail when it's getting dark. You're climbing over these rocks and all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have a distinct advantage because we live on the trail. We actually live a mile from the finish line. So when we start the ride, our horses are on their way home.
Okay.
Which really, it is an advantage. And plus we get to train on the trail. So our horses know the trail extremely well. And horses have a phenomenal memory. I mean, they remember where every rock and every turn is. So they know where to shorten their stride to make a hairpin turn. They know where the rocks are. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think Courtney needs to see your bling. I think she would enjoy your bracelet right here. Tell us a little bit about this.
So this is a bracelet that was made from a buckle that Hal won, and he was working and hurt his back, and he was out of training for 6 weeks before the Tevis ride. So I finished training his horse, and his horse ended up winning the ride. So he took his buckle and made a bracelet for me.
That is beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I wear it all the time. I love it. But I mean, just to be clear, I just did the latter part of the horse's training, so it was 6 weeks. He did 2 weeks of light work. So Hal had been training the horse for 2 years.
So humble. Whatever.
For 2 years.
Whatever.
No, it's our loose guy. He was a monster. Yeah.
Well, good luck at this year's ride.
Thank you.
Oh, this is so exciting. Tevis, it starts 5 a.m. on Saturday. It is amazing. Back to you guys.
How cool is that he made a bracelet out of the belt buckle? You know what I mean? Like, that is awesome. Thanks, Code.